as long as I can remember, I've always been in that space of interceding and supporting others through life struggles, life traumas and dramas per se. I've always been one to lend a helping hand to help someone else. As I move forward in my assignment, I was called to serve as a chaplain at a inner city hospital. And on this assignment, my role was to support individuals from the womb to the tomb and everyone in between. I remember being there when mothers came in who were in the midst of giving birth to a stillborn child. I was there when someone was being diagnosed with a chronic illness such as sarcoidosis or of cancer, or some other type of disease or disease in their body. I was there when someone was being told that you're at the end of life and there's actually nothing else that we can do for you. On a brighter note, I was there to support individuals at the beginning of a beautiful life together, officiating weddings, blessing homes, blessing startup businesses, and taking mission trips all over the world. As a mother of 3 kings, Asa, Azal, and Encore, they had an opportunity to witness my journey. And I remember raising them to be strong men of valor, to treat others the way you wanted to be treated. Live your life to the fullest and always try to be a blessing to everyone that will cross your path. And of course, out of all 3 sons, Azal was the one that I had to pray for the most. He was always getting into something. He would frustrate you, he would aggravate you, and then a few minutes later, he would just love all over you. He brought so much joy to my life. He brought so much joy to everyone he came in contact with. He was just a joyous child, a joyous young man that was all about life and living life to the fullest. Azal's life was full of adventure. How can I say that? Full of adventure. When Azal was 4 years old, I remember he ran into the back of a truck, and there was a gash, over his forehead, and we had to take him to the emergency room to get stitched up. At the age of 7, Azal loved to eat. I mean, this boy, he loved to eat. We called him Mikey. Mikey will eat anything. Azal will eat anything, right? So I remember preparing some steak, and he just decided that he wasn't going to wait for me to cut up his steak. And I remember him taking it and taking a knife and trying to cut the steak himself up in the air, and he cut his finger. Again, back at the emergency room. He went to a football camp, with his godbrother and his brother in Chicago. And next thing you know, I get a phone call saying, Azal was in a little accident. He was running around and put his finger through the hinge of a door, and it took off the tip of his finger, lost the tip of his finger. That was just another whole ordeal. Then we go to Peru as a part of the Worlds Apart National Geographic's program, and we're at the top of a cliff. Who falls off? Azal. As a matter of fact, years before that, he and his father and his brothers were in a near fatal car accident. Then in his early 20s, he was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and they never discovered what was wrong with him. Undiagnosed, but 2 weeks there. But God. The body snatchers tried on several occasions to take Azal out, but they were unsuccessful. Azal lived on purpose. I would say he lived with intention in his life. At the age of, I would say, about 11 years old, he decided that he wanted to be an entrepreneur. And he would go and buy candy, and he would sell it wherever we would go. It would be at the baseball games, in the neighborhood. He would take it to school, he'd take it to church. Wherever we would go, he would always just have a backpack full of candy. He was about making that money. He was a hustler at an early age. And then he really gravitated into cooking. He loved to cook. And so he decided that he was going to start his own cooking business, his catering on wheels. And so he would prepare his pasta, he would prepare his chicken dinners, and he had his whole list of customers that would support him on a regular basis. And then after that, he decided that he was going to take a little serious, and so he received a scholarship to Baker College in culinary arts. Azal was as a music lover. I mean, he always loved to dance. He always loved to sing. And so he also decided that he wanted to pursue music, and he became a rapper. And after becoming a rapper, he decided he wanted to design clothing. So he had his own clothing line and his music line, and he had some other products that he was selling. He was just very successful with that. And he was always encouraged, people that he was in contact with, his boys and the people that he loved. He just embrace whatever it is that you want to do, and just go for it. Just give it your all. Don't ever stop. Just put it out there and just see what happens. Azal had a passion for people, and he was always encouraging others. In November of 2020, Azal called me up and he says, Mom, I've got something to tell you. And I remember saying, I already know. And he says, what? I said, you're going to be a daddy. He says, how did you know? We didn't even tell anybody yet, but I could just feel it in my spirit. I don't know what it was, but I just knew. We were just so excited. And a few weeks later, he, and I refer to her as my daughter by love, his girlfriend, came to Detroit so that we could celebrate our Thanksgiving. And so we were there, having our own dinner, and his brother was standing behind them. And I decided to go and get some oil because he had asked me to pray for them. And I did. And we stood in a circle and we prayed. And when he was getting ready to leave out, I remember him putting me in a headlock and giving me kisses just all over my face and all over my neck. And he would always just say, I love you, OG. And I would say, I love you, OG, back. It was just funny. Little did I know that about 3 weeks later, I would receive a phone call from him and saying, Mom, you know what? I just feel like I'm just sitting on top of the world. Everything that I have been working towards, everything that I've been working for is starting to materialize. I just feel like I'm just getting ready to go to a higher level. Like everything is coming together. My music is coming together. People are calling saying that they want to record with me. My record label is coming together. The clothing line is coming together. I'm going to be a father. I just feel so good. Like everything is just all good. Everything is just all good, all is well. He says, Mom, he would always say this, I'm gonna make you proud. And my response was, you've already made me proud. 6 hours later, I received a call from his brother, Encore. And he said, Ma, Azal's been in a car accident. And I'm like, what? He said, Azal's been in a car accident. I'm just like, well, where? What hospital? What happened? He says, I don't know all the details. I just got a call that he's been in a car accident. And I said, okay. I said, well, give me the name of the hospital. So when I called, they confirmed that he was there. But because of COVID, they weren't giving out a lot of information over the phone. And so I had to go through a lot of details, explaining, who I was, so forth and so on. And so they basically told me that someone would give me a call back. When I got the call back, they told me that Azal did not survive. And I remember I was standing at my dining room table, and I was actually preparing to go out of town to celebrate my birthday. And they said he didn't survive. And I just tears just start streaming down my cheeks. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't, this cannot be real. This is like, so I remember calling his brother back and his girlfriend back and letting them know, and I got permission for them to actually go back to the hospital, and they're screaming, and I'm trying to calm them down. And so I remember starting making those phone calls, of families, family members and close friends, letting them know what had happened. And a short time later, I get a call back again. I do believe it's from another resident or a doctor that basically said, we got some additional information. We want to share with you what happened. So I was under the impression that he just had an accident. All I knew is that he ran into the back of an EMT truck and they had taken him to the hospital, but he had actually been shot in the back. And I'm thinking to myself, who would want to do something to someone who was so loving, so caring? Who and why did this have to happen to my baby? Planning and grieving had a whole different look right in the middle of COVID-19. I think everybody in the world was grieving about something. The loss of someone, the loss of something, regardless of whether it was the loss of relationship, the loss of a home, the loss of jobs. I mean, everybody was going through something. So there was like this feeling like everybody was on this emotional roller coaster. So even in my personal grieving, I knew that there were other people that were grieving something similar to me. It was almost as if, because everybody was grieving, it's like you've got this 2-week window of period to grieve and move on. But I knew that I couldn't. I had to take time out to grieve. In order for me to help others that I was accustomed to doing on a regular basis, of helping others to get through their grief, I had to stop and pause and take care of me. So I took some time off from work, and I made a conscious decision to go ahead and to get into therapy. I'm always encouraging other people to get into therapy, to work out those issues that they would have in life, but I needed someone to actually sit down and talk to. I needed someone that I could just be really, really real with and express whatever it was that I was feeling. And just be open and honest, and just being in a position where if I needed to scream, I could scream. If I needed to holler, I could holler. If I just needed to just throw my hands up or throw something, I could just be real and just do that. And so I decided to go through this process and then become a grief recovery specialist, which took me down a path of really taking a look at loss and with a totally different view, really enhanced what I was already doing as a chaplain. And during this time of my grieving, of this time of during my inner work, and this time of praying and meditating and just being still and listening to God, God revealed to me the Azal, Benne, Lockett Foundation, the ABLE Foundation, because God is able to do exceedingly abundantly more than we can ever hope for or ask for, according to Ephesians 3:20. The sole purpose of this foundation would be to support individuals, to be able to support families that were grieving, regardless of what type of grief that it would be. You know, there's over 40 different types of ways that individuals can grieve. The loss of a home, the loss of a loved one, a pet, a job, a home, a lifestyle, relationship, the loss of hope, and you know, the list just goes on and on. And as I began to mention this thought, this concept of what God had given me to others, people just started asking me, how can I help? How can I support you? So the work then began. I sat down with an advisor that specialized with nonprofits. You know, I began to ask individuals if they would be willing to be a part of the board of directors. Then I started talking with people who had specialty areas of finance, to be able to help individuals if they needed financial support, or talking with therapists and counseling if someone needed therapy or needed counseling, or someone who may need legal advice. And so the answer to my ask was yes. Just let us know how we can help. I wanted to make sure that I had a plethora of individuals and resources to be able to provide others that would need support during their grieving journey. Therefore, here we are now, ready to be a blessing. So if you desire to be a part of this organization, to be a part of this nonprofit, or you may need support yourself, or you may know someone that needs support, we're here. The Azal, Benne, Lockett Foundation is here to help you heal, offer you hope, and hold your heart as you attempt to survive and thrive through your grieving journey.